What's going on everybody, Dre here and welcome back to the channel. Now before I get into this video, if this happens to be your first time to this channel, welcome. My name is Dre Anthony and on this channel I mostly do tech related videos here on YouTube coupled with some photography content. So if this is something you're into, then please consider subscribing. So the Apple Airpods Pro hit the market back in late October 2019 and has been pretty much a hit for many Apple users. So I decided to pick one up in 2021 to pair with my iPhone 12 Pro Max, which will also integrate quite well with my MacBook Pro for pretty much most of my everyday tasks. Now that I've been using these AirPods Pro for a little while, what are my thoughts on these tiny, supposedly Pro AirPods from Apple? Is it still worth getting in 2021? Well, I'm gonna give you my honest review of this device, coming from an angle of a more practical, everyday use, so I won't get too super technical, alright? The different aspects of the AirPods Pro that I'll be covering in this review will cover the design and the build quality, the fit and comfort, the connectivity and controls, sound quality coupled with the noise cancellation, and last but definitely not least, the battery and the charging of this device. After which, at the end, I'll give you my final thoughts and verdict on the AirPods Pro. So feel free to use the timestamp on this video to skip to this section of the video that you might be most interested to hear. So we're gonna begin by talking about the design. The AirPods Pro comes in a small charging case that is pretty easy to carry. It slips pretty easily in most pockets without any hassle or worry. But the first thing you'll notice when you take out the AirPods itself is how light they are. They're so light that once plopped into the ears, it's hard to tell that they're actually there. The stems are much shorter than the regular AirPods, which means skipping tracks or to activate Siri would be a less comfortable experience. Nonetheless, one of the more major welcome to the AirPods Pro design is the switch to an in-ear construction with silicone tips, which will appeal to many people as the first two models of the AirPods were really hard plastic earbuds that sat in your ears, just like the iconic iPod earphones that were once packaged with the iPhones. So if you were one of those folks whose ears have been a good match for the AirPods, then these AirPods Pro will finally let you experience all of what others have come to love about this device over the years. Now, definitely there are some downsides to the in-ear headphone styles, and to mitigate some of these downsides, such as that clogged pressure feeling that you'll get, or where you can hear your voice too loudly and almost feels like you're underwater. Well, that doesn't really exist on the AirPods Pro, as Apple placed a vent on the outside of each earbud. Now, this vent system also helps to reduce noise when you're on a voice call. That's actually really according to Apple. All in all, there's not much to say or to fault with the design of the AirPods Pro. They're smaller and lighter than many of the competition on the market, but let's talk more on the fit and comfort of these AirPods Pro. As mentioned before, the AirPods Pro are light, and it really does feel light in the ear. The silicone tips provides that secure fit for your ears so that you won't be too overly cautious of making any sudden moves. It's also worth noting that in the box there are different sizes of these tips that you'll be able to switch in order to provide a better seal and comfort depending on your ear size, of course. If you're not a fan of silicone tips, then it's also worth mentioning that you'll be able to pick up foam tips from other third-party manufacturers that you might find suitable. Now, getting to the ear tips on and off is really fiddly though. They don't snap off instantly and will require a little bit of force to remove. However, the system seems robust, and once you gain the confidence to do so, it'll become fairly easy. And it's really not likely that you'll have to do it that often, but you might want to remove them every once in a while for cleaning purposes. In an effort to take any guesswork out of finding the right size ear tip, Apple added a software-based fit test to the AirPods settings, which can be found in the Bluetooth section of the iPhone's settings app. Once you put the AirPods Pro in, the test plays a small snippet of music, An inside-facing microphone listens for how things sound in your ears. If a tip is loose, you're told to either try a bigger size or to adjust the earpods in your ear. Trust me, it works. All the test checks for is seal, so you might see a good result for more than one size. So picking really comes down to comfort and how well they stay in your ears. You might find that a different size in each ear works best, or even just a little adjusting of the earpods in the ear will give a good result. If you're planning on wearing these on long runs or exercise, then you might be happy to hear that the AirPods Pro are sweat-proof. Apple says they have an IPX water resistance rating, which simply means they're splash-proof but not waterproof. So definitely no swimming in these. The long and short of it is the new design will fit more ears than the original AirPods. I hesitate to call it a universal fit because there are always gonna be exceptions, but they're close. The only issue is that some people simply don't like having silicone buds stuck in their ears, even if they're as soft as these tips are. And I guess that's the reason why so many people like the original AirPods, because when they fit right. They're really comfortable. I know a few people who, even though the AirPods Pro sounded better, they still preferred the fit of the regular AirPods. Now, let's take a look at how the AirPods Pro connects and what are the controls on this device. Now, the initial pairing with the iPhone took less than a minute, as seamless and effortless as actually plugging in the wired earphones. Apple really made sure that us customers wouldn't have to go through any hassle or trouble just to get the device connected. Subsequent usage is equally pleasurable because the iPhone detects the AirPods Pro as soon as the charging case is open. It's worth to note that for this seamless connection to work though, you need to ensure that you are running at least iOS 13.2 and above. Once activated, the AirPods Pro will be automatically paired with your phone and all Apple devices linked to your iCloud account, including your Apple Watch, your iPad, your MacBooks, and so forth. So you won't need to keep connecting your new buds to your other Apple devices. The phone also shows the battery levels of the charging case as well as each individual earbud. As mentioned in the design of the AirPods Pro earlier, the stems are much shorter than the previous models of the original AirPods, which means there are changes in the controls. The AirPods Pro now have what is called a capacitive force sensor in the stem, a small ridge on the edge of the AirPods Pro where squeezing said area will activate noise cancelling or transparency mode, or even skip and pause tracks. Initially, this was a little tricky to get used to, as the shorter stems made it a bit hard to find the ridge, but after a few minutes it became second nature. Although as the buds are quite compact, it does feel a little like you're pulling them out your ear every time you try to activate it. After about a week's use, I found that it was thoroughly second nature, and there was an instant instinct to play, pause, and skip tracks using this method. You can also change what squeezing the ridge does, setting it to Control Siri if you prefer, and you can assign a different function such as noise cancelling on one, Siri on the other to each earbud as well. In terms of Bluetooth connectivity, I can safely say it has been pretty rock solid. I have been using these AirPods Pro for quite some time, and I am yet to have any real audio dropouts or Bluetooth glitches. Audio syncing in various video apps such as YouTube, Netflix, and so forth was also pretty solid. There wasn't any lag that I personally saw, though I didn't try every video app. Like the original AirPods, you can definitely use the AirPods Pro with Android devices. I have used them with my Samsung Galaxy devices and my OnePlus devices, and they worked well. They work like normal Bluetooth earphones, and you can use your phone's voice assistant if you want. The noise cancelling works the same as it does with an iOS device. Now, it's one thing to have seamless and reliable connection, but how does the AirPods Pro sound? Well, the first thing I notice about the AirPods Pro is that they sound better than the standard AirPods, and that's because they have more bass, and I am a lover of some good bass. Don't get me wrong, these are not heavy head pounding kind of bass we're talking. They're just pretty decent, given its size. But the reason the AirPods Pro have more bass is largely due to their noise isolated design and drivers that are tuned for that design. The standard AirPods sound decent enough in quiet places, but due to their open design, they just don't do well when confronted with external noise. Part of that sound quality is down to the noise cancellation, which is noticeable and strong when turned on. You turn it on by squeezing the capacitive stem of the AirPods Pro or by heading into the volume section of your iPhone and swiping to the left-hand icon. Speaking of that noise cancellation feature, the active noise cancellation that are found on the AirPods Pro might have been the most anticipated feature and the one most persons were looking forward to. And even though it is really good, there are definitely other earbuds that I know of that does better in this category. Definitely one of the faults I had with this feature was that there was no way to adjust or lower the amount of noise cancellation. It just automatically adapts to your environment. So if you're sensitive to active noise cancellation, you may not be able to use these with it turned on. Now, on the other hand, the AirPods Pro also has its take on a pass-through sound mode, which it calls transparency mode. And this is arguably the best I've heard on earbuds so far. You can tell outside noise is being amplified, but it sounds surprisingly natural. It's a well-implemented feature, with the world fading slowly in and out when transparency is turned on. You can have a conversation with someone even with your music playing, although if you're over half volume, it gets a little tricky. And when there's no music playing, you're barely aware you've got headphones in at all. There are tons of other adaptive sound or audio options found on the AirPods Pro, such as spatial audio, which in my opinion is just simply awesome, and a really cool feature that you probably might want to try out for yourselves. And that's just one amongst many others that are found on this tiny device. Let's face it, it's easy to toss around cliche sound quality terms all day, but this is something that's extremely subjective for everyone. So if you like how AirPods sound already, then expect even better from these tiny devices. Right, so let's move on and talk about the battery life and charging of this device. The AirPods Pro's charging case will give you over 24 hours of listening time when fully charged. With each full charge of the AirPods Pro getting you 5 hours of listening, that's with noise cancelling or transparency off, you get 4.5 hours with it on, or 3.5 hours of use if you use the AirPods Pro as a hands-free mic for calling. These numbers are pretty accurate in my real-world use. You'll never really use the AirPods without either noise cancellation or transparency on, but when flipping them in and out of the case, you'll rarely hit a dead battery. Should your AirPods Pro die on you, Apple claims you'll get 1 hour of listening time from just 5 minutes of charging, and I found that to be a little stingy. Chucking them in the charging case from dead yielded 35% battery life, which was a little over an hour's use for me. That charging case is slightly annoying in that it's hard to know how much juice is left in it. When you take the AirPods out, you can head to your iPhone's battery widget to check out how much power is left, but otherwise you're left looking at the small LED on the front, which is only ever green or amber. In terms of charging the case, Apple has unhelpfully put a USB-C to Lightning cable in the box. Unless, of course, you've got a new iPhone 12 or one of the new MacBooks. But you won't have the necessary charging block, as there isn't one that is provided with the package. However, the good news is that nearly every person that buys the new AirPods will have a standard Lightning cable or two kicking around, so you'll be able to charge them that way. Don't forget that this is a wireless charging case, so you can plop it down on a charging pad and get juice. Now, with all that's being said, should you buy the AirPods Pro in 2021? And the answer to that is actually not a simple yes or no. It actually depends, so hear me out. If you have the original AirPods and you want to upgrade to the Pros, or if you've never owned AirPods before, then you might want to hold off for just a little longer for the upgraded versions to the AirPods, which are actually due to be released in a matter of weeks as the release of this video. The upgrades might be worth the wait. But on the other hand, if you just need to get the best pair of Apple AirPods that's on the market and price is not an issue, then you should actually just pick one of these up. The AirPods Pro do come really close to perfecting the original AirPods concept. That in-ear design will fit more ears, the noise cancellation outperforms what you'd expect from tiny earbuds, and they sound better than ever. While the AirPods Pro aren't the best sounding on the market, they are pretty good and work so efficiently with an iPhone that you're getting a great fusion here. But if price is an issue and you don't want to cough up that $250 price tag, and you're also fine with an okay sound quality, fit, and comfort, then just go with the regular second generation AirPods. They're just as good. So that has been it, guys. That has been my review of the Apple AirPods Pro in 2021. Let me know, what are your thoughts? Are you actually considering picking up an AirPod Pro in 2021 as well? I hope you found this review helpful. If you did, please go ahead and leave a like on this video. Also, feel free to go ahead and share this video with anyone you think will find this video beneficial. It would mean a lot if you would also hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to the channel as yet. That will mean a great deal towards growing this channel and for you to become a part of this ever-growing YouTube community. Thank you so much again for watching to the end, and I guess I'll see you guys in my next upload. Peace.